Hi everyone. We're gonna officially start this meeting. First of all, I thank you so much for sticking with us on this project. It has been a journey of prolonged communication to clarify all the details of this project, and it is only up until last Friday we have finally set up all the tools on TCS. For this meeting, we're gonna share some detailed information regarding how to work on the platform, as well as the action details regarding the ASR editing and MTP process. Start Jingwen from our AI lab team will first Yaxin from our AI will first give you a walkthrough of the details you need to pay attention to when going through the ASR editing and MTE process. So Yaxin, you can start now.
Yes, okay. Now let me share my screen. I see that we stopped the screen sharing. Let me try it again. Oh. Please allow us to share our screens. Sorry, who held this meeting? Could you please allow?
Hello, Michelle. Could you mute for a second? So, thanks.
Sorry, just wait for a while. Okay. Okay. Sorry for the wait, but now we're gonna start share the content, and Yaxin from our team will start an introduction. You may go ahead, Yaxin. Yes, hello everyone. So first we'll give you a recap about the source language speech recognition proofreading, and also
sorry, Yaxin. Your voice is a bit low, and
okay.
Quite.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, so first I will go through.
It's back to the ambiguous situation again. You need to put your microphone closer to you.
Is it better?
Yes, like this.
Better now? Okay, okay. So now first we will go through the source language speech recognition proofreading, and then later on we'll go through the auto translation proofreading. For this training, the background is that sometimes the ASR, the result for the machine ASR is always affected by the background noises or overlapping speeches from multiple speakers, or sometimes affected by the speaker's accents, other results. So ASR might have many bad cases. In this case, we need some speech recognition manually. So for this training, our major task can be composed of three parts. First, we need to do the ASR proofreading. And for this major task, I have mentioned several points here. But before that, I need to hold in mind there are two important points that you should all pay attention to. First is while you are making the modification, the subtitles in each timestamp must correspond to the original speech in each timestamp. And another thing is the subtitle in each timestamp should be better to have complete semantic meaning. I think you should try your best to meet this point. Okay, now let's move on. The first is we need to check whether the original caption, the original subtitle is consistent with the original speech that have been spoken by the speaker here. If there is any mismatch, please modify the existing English caption here. And also, if you find it necessary, please adjust the timestamp. Okay. Yes, and then for the next one, you need to check whether the machine has some missed parts of the speech. That means some parts that have not been recognized by the machine, or you have found that there are something have been recognized more than we need. In these two cases, after you made some adjustments, you should also pay attention to whether the timestamp is correspondent with the point that the speakers has stopped her speech. So I have subgrouped the situation here. First, as I've mentioned before, is if you encounter speech that machine does not recognize. Of course, you just directly add those missing part in the existing subtitle. For example, here, if the speaker has said a lot of things, a lot of information, but the machine just recognizes several words here, of course, you need to add all the information after that in one block. Besides, you should also pay attention to the timestamp here. You should also extend the ending point of the timestamp till the end when the speaker stops her speech. Besides, if the missed part are too long, you can split the subtitle into two blocks, into two timestamps, just by creating a new subtitle block, as I've mentioned in the example part, just like here. If there are too many lines in the first subtitle line, for example, maybe 3 to 4 lines here, you can just split them up in two blocks. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next part. So in another occasion, if the machine has recognized more than we need, that means because when the machine was doing the auto recognition, there might be something that not exist in the original speech, but still be recognized. In that case, you just delete those parts and also adjust the ending point of the timestamp. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Of course, while doing this, we can also make some special things. For example, when we are having videos that 2 people or even more than 2 people involved in the dialogue. In this case, we need to pay attention to how do we split those speech. Well, in one occasion, when speakers' voices do not overlap, that means when one speaker said something blah blah blah, and then after she ends her speech, another speaker started her speech. In this occasion, their voices do not overlap. So we should be better to split their speech in different timestamps, as mentioned, as this example has shown here. For example, the first timestamp block was said by the girl on the left, while the next line was said by the girl on the right, and something like that.
Let's
Okay.
look at the next one. Yeah, next picture.
Okay, so if two speakers said something and their voices are overlapped, I think you can put them in one block, in one timestamp block. But you need to use an and dash in front of it to identify they are produced by different speakers. Okay, move on to the third one. As I've mentioned before, you also need to check the length of the subtitle. It should not be too long. For several lines or 3 to 4 lines of subtitle in one timestamp block. If you find it too long, you can split them up. But also, if you find the sentences are too fragmented, like they're caught with only 3 to 4 words as one sentence, they're too fragmented, too segmented, you can also do subtitle merging. This one is for you to do subtitle splitting up, to split a very long sentence into 2 blocks of timestamps. Okay, let's move on. So another one is to show you how to do subtitle merging on our TCS platform. That means when the sentences are too fragmented, you can merge them up into one block of timestamp. Okay, if that's all clear, let's move on to the fourth point. If you find that if you find some segments in the video are too noisy, the voices are too low, or even have no voice, in this case, we can consider this segment is a bad case, and you do not need to write down any subtitles for it. The fifth one is for you to recheck the information. You need to do a second check to see whether every block of the video is consistent with every block of our subtitle. Okay, this is the first part of our major task. Another part is for you to do, is that while you're doing it, you should also do the punctuation proofreading. But I will only have a recap of it, and the following part are just some basic rules for how to properly use English punctuations. Since you are all a native English speaker, I don't think it will be a very big deal for you. So you can check that after the meeting. But I still need to mention about the basic principles here. These are the most important part. First, for the punctuation priority, you should pay more attention to period, question mark, and exclamation marks, since they are ending marks for to end a sentence, to close a sentence, right? And then pay attention to whether they have properly used the commas, quotation marks, colons, semicolons, or other punctuations. Besides, another point is you should try your best to keep the sentence short and simple. So it means as long as the semantic meaning of a sentence is complete, is closed, you can use the ending marks to close the sentence. So for the second point, how to use English punctuation properly, this is the part I would like you to check it very carefully after the meeting. I have mentioned several of them, period. First is the end punctuation, and later on are commas and something like that. But Yuzhang, I think you could, well, yeah, stop here. Okay. Here is a small example for you to see how to punctuate a text properly. For example, on the left side, actually, they did not add periods in a very proper place. However, in this case, you should add those periods here to cut the sentence in a more reasonable way. Yeah, and this is just the example to show you how to do that properly. Okay, let's move on. We can just skip the punctuation proofreading and move on to the capitalization. Okay, stop here. Punctuation, yeah. So the third major rule is also for you to do capitalization and number proofreading. Also, as I've mentioned before, since you are a native speaker, I just organized some rules for you to check, and you just obey those rules and check it through after the meeting. That will be very clear for you. English capitalization, and also how to properly use numbers. That is whether we should use Arabic numerals or we should use English words to express numbers. Yeah. I think it's all clear here. Later on, we can move to the another document.
We'll just stop for a while. Do you have any more questions to ask so we can stop here and explain more? I think we can leave 5 minutes for Q&A for this document. If you have any more questions, you can just ask and we will answer your question. No worries.
Any questions?
It seems we need to edit English and Japanese both, right?
English and Japanese both.
I thought I was, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yes, for ASR, it's gonna, for ASR, you just need to focus on the English part. And for the MTE, like machine translation post-editing, it's the part where you focus on the translation by referring to the source English. And just FYI, you can ask your questions in the chat, in the comment panel, so that we can select questions to answer. Can we get this menu later? Yaxin, could you confirm that if we can share the menu with our lenders here?
You mean this training? You mean this document?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Yes, we will share it later for you to check it through after the meeting.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on to another document.
Okay, let's move on to another one for the auto translation part. Okay, so for this major task, that is done after we have finished the speech recognition proofreading for the source language. And later on, we will check the auto translation, whether they have some mistakes. For this round of check, for this round of correction, there is no need for you to change the timestamp. You just to look through whether the content, whether the translation outcome is consistent with our source language. So for the basic principle, you just need to modify the translation bad cases into coherent and smooth text in our target language. And our target language will be Japanese, Korean, and Portuguese. For the priority, the accuracy is our top priority here. And while you check the translation part, you should modify the translation outcome based on the complete sentence in the original text. So here are some details for the types of errors that you might meet during the correction And also, that means in all of these occasions, you should make some modification. First is about punctuation errors. I know that in Japanese, Korean, and Portuguese, they might have their own rules to use their own punctuation. So while doing this amount of check, you should modify every punctuation mistake that is not consistent with the rule of the target language. So this is about punctuation. And another is if there is any mistranslation here, you should also modify them. First is whether there are some mistakes in the keywords translation or about the proper nouns. I have mentioned examples on the right. For example, the first case, when I had her on keyboard, blah, 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 blah. In this case, the Japanese translation made had her on keyboard, turns out translate them into let her. Here, it should be translated as let her eat keyboard. However, the Japanese translation turned out to be put her on the keyboard. So in this case, the preposition was translated wrong here. Besides, you should also see whether the translation of other nouns, adjectives, some words that have actual meaning is correct. For the last thing is to see whether the meaning of the translation is inconsistent with the original text. So in this occasion, you should sometimes use your common knowledge to decide whether they have mistranslated. For example, on the right, even though I gave you a Chinese translation, I have mentioned it to let you know what problems it has. For example, here in the English version, it said there are 2,500 US force and also hundreds of additional force. While it translated into Chinese, it turns out to be 2,500 groups of forces and hundreds of groups of forces. So here is a misunderstanding for the units and made the information really deviated from the original text. In this case, you should also modify that. Okay.
Can everybody mute?
Our audience, mute your voices here.
Someone called anonymous.
All right, let's move on. Another mistake is omission. If there are something that has not been translated out, you should add them up. I think that's very clear. Another is if there are more than we need translation, because sometimes the translation will give out something that are not in the original text. In this case, you should delete them. For example, here in the original text, it said after a record number of Americas by mail in November, right? He said in November. However, while it translated into Chinese, it said last November. In this case, the original text does not tell you it is last November. So here you need to delete the word last. For another error type is the literal translation. That means sometimes the collocations are never commonly used in the target language, or the grammatical order in the auto translation is inconsistent with that of the target language. You can just look through the examples here that I've mentioned. For example, in the second one, the original text is we should get feed 3 times a day. However, the Korean translation used passive voice to translate it. It is not quite commonly used, or it feels very weird for the Korean to say something like that. Okay, move on. We can move on to the next.
I think Steve, literal translation error, that is one of the most commonly error type we've seen in our queue. So you need to pay more attention to these error types.
Yes, there are many bad cases that might come out from here. And you can look through all the examples right there, but due to time limits, we need to move on to the next part. Okay, another type is also can also make a lot of mistakes in the auto translation part, that is incoherent context. In here, you can see that we should provide whole sentence translation. And in this case, some translation can have strong contextual connections. In this case, you need to adjust the language in order appropriately, or use the correct translation, use the correct wording actually. And another case you need to pay attention is to use the right honorific and non-honorific expressions, especially in Korean and Japanese. Yeah, I think the second and the third example would be more important for you to learn about. For example, here, the Japanese one. Did you find him like on the road or something? Actually, here like means, for example, something like that, right? However, in the translation, it turns out to be the original meaning of like. Just I like you, I love you, something that kind of meaning. This is actually a bad case. And also here, or something, actually it means or someplace instead of something. So here the Japanese translation has also made a mistake. The next one is a Korean example. Actually, these are all come out from one person. However, the Korean translation used two or several types of, some of them are respectable forms, while some of them are non-respectable forms of soil, something like that. Yeah. So the ending word are not consistent with each other. So when the context and the audience remain the same, whether to use honorific expressions should be consistent. For the last thing is the mismatch with the thing. You need to check whether the translation of slang is correct. And sometimes we might encounter the vulgar language. In this case, you should try to translate them in a civilized manner, or in a more readable way. And for the last one is also pay attention to the situation. Sometimes we need to use the formal languages. However, while in the parent entertainment scenes, we should sometimes use some oral expressions instead of very formal ways, like here in the Korean form. Okay, I think that's all for the error types. And for the translation modification on our platform, you can see that the first line, you can see in the first box, the first line is the original text, right? What you need to do in this round of the check is to modify the second line. That is the outcome of our translation. Okay.
Now we continue.
We can continue. So there is another thing you need to pay the most important attention. Sometimes you will find that the original text and the related translation are not totally matched in each timestamp. I mean, in each timestamp, that is the first line of original text might not be very totally consistent with the next line of them. In this case, you do not need to modify and have them totally matched. Instead, you should read the original text based on sentence level. That means the whole sentence might cross several timestamp blocks. In this case, you just read them together, just merge the meaning of them together, read them through, and see whether the related translation across those lines could also be reasonable. If not, in that case, you need to modify the translation outcome. Yeah, I think that's all for this part. If you have any questions, you can you can just bring it out.
Hi Yashin, I see there's a question asking if you know the subtitle is grammatically wrong, do they need to revise it? That's on the ASR part.
Since reading our comments, Domain, please, could you please repeat?
Okay, so there's a question by Elaine. Sorry, a question on ASR. Do we edit the ASR by verbatim or transcriptionists are expected to correct the language? For example, if it's grammatically wrong, do they need to revise it?
Oh, you mean
For
you mean
ASR part.
For ASR part,
Yes.
I think you just need to keep the information totally matched with the video outcome. If the speaker just made a grammatical mistake, I think you just write it down. Do not make any change to that.
Okay, I've got a question on the ASR part as raised by our vendors. So when when the speakers in the video is using is speaking HM and such kind of meaningless words, should they keep that in the subtitle?
Sorry, I didn't get your idea.
Can you see the comment part? I typed it there.
Oh, yeah. So your question is to leave it or
add it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think be consistent with the original text.
yeah, but like if we have a lot of like verbal words that it doesn't make any sense, so we can delete some of them. But like if it's very long gap, we can add these kind of verbal words to our original text.
Okay, so if the video pause is too long, we keep those words. But if not, if those words doesn't take a lot of time, we can ignore those words, right?
Yeah, or it is just a part of the sentence. It doesn't make any sense. We can delete them. No worries.
Okay.
Is it clear? Yeah. Sorry about the ASR part. I just want to further clarify that although we need to be very consistent with the what our speakers say, but if we do know we have like some grammatical mistake, we can correct them and to use it in a proper way to avoid those mistakes.
Okay, another question is by Jesse. Are these platform? One question about that. Do you request a very natural translation?
Yeah, sure.
I think
Translation.
I can speak here. So the ideal, we expect to receive a natural translation, and it's not to train our machine translation modules gradually so it gets very natural in the end. But this process might take some time. So but start with this project, we want to align to that standard. So it's our expectation that we're aligning towards that natural translation standard instead of a steep translation. Okay, next is, these platforms will give foot pedal control to rewind, forward, pause, skip, view. Hi, Jesse. No, this is that for the ASR part, there isn't, it's not a process of the traditional transcription task. So there isn't such panels to forward, pause, or skip videos. But for your knowledge, you can press space to pause the video and click again to resume the playing. Resume playing. Okay, there is another question by Elaine. So what about spelling? Is there a standardized guide? For example, okay, there are different spelling, it's like spellings. Could you take a look, Yashin?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. You mean about spelling?
Your voice is a bit low.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
If it's about spelling, I think actually maybe we can make a standardized guide for it. Do you want?
Standardized. Okay. Yeah, I think so. But in this time, if you have any kind of cases you are not pretty sure, we can have
Yeah.
a document to collect those spelling. Yeah, and then give you a standardized guide.
But
Thank
aren't
you
we
for
supposed
bringing
to
up.
provide this guide beforehand?
Mm,
Pardon?
Shouldn't we provide this guide, first
Beforehand.
instead of us waiting for feedback from our vendors, because it seems to be very straightforward questions like okay, different spellings, which one we expect, and also for the US English or British English. I think we should have a clear guide at the beginning.
For the second question, I can answer it directly. I think US English is more preferred than the British English because we have more users based in US area. Another question is about the standardized guidance. Okay. I think we have probably the
guidelines, right?
yeah.
We did not have this type of guideline.
But we can collect some of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that later.
Cool.
Well, what does dark scope mean style guide provided?
The same question, I think.
Okay.
How about for the how about if you cannot provide a clear guideline before the MVP version, we can ask the linguist to follow the uppercase okay.
So it means that you have some linguistics to help with this issue, right?
Like the okay part, just the okay.
Just do the okay. Yeah, you can help. You can help with it.
So for the different spellings of okay, can we stick with the uppercase okay?
Stick with the uppercase. Let me see.
Yeah, sure.
Correct.
So if there's no more question, we can move on to next part.
Okay. Well, one last time. Any questions, linguists and managers?
Yeah.
In the part we were told that we not just correct the machine translation. Hi Graham. I think your question you asked, we were told that we're not expected to correct English part at all, just to correct the machine translation. That assumption is correct, and what we just introduced, it includes the ASR part, which means the transcriptionist what kind of rules the transcriptionist needs to follow. And ideally, we expect all the English subtitle will be correct before we send it to you for machine translation post-editing. So yeah, your understanding is correct, that you don't need to correct the English part. And And on the TCS tool, you won't have permission to edit the English subtitle. Later on, we will provide a feedback button on the machine translation editing page. So if some of you noticed that there's an error in the English subtitle, you can click the feedback button, and we can, once we receive your feedback, we will pause the video, and you can pause the video so that you are not translating based on the wrong text. But that's we'll later sync with all managers from vendor managers. Hi, Jesse. Regarding the TCS account registration issue, we can discuss later at the end of this session. Before this, we want to clear all the questions that linguists may have on ASR editing and machine translation post-editing part. Isabella asked a question. In case of discrepancy between actual text and subtitle, what should be given priority? In case of discrepancy between actual text and subtitle, what should be given priority? I think this issue is related to the machine translation post-editing, because when you're editing the machine translation, you find out that the English subtitle isn't based. There's some difference between the English subtitle and what's being said in the video. Am I correct? And if so, the actual subtitle within the video should be given priority. Any questions? Okay, so since we have other part, we still have other parts, so we'll stop there for ASR and MTE and MTP introduction. Next, we'll go to introduction on we'll go to introduction on the TCS platform, like to walk you through on the TCS, to walk you through the TCS platforms. Linguists may, sorry, linguists, that since we didn't expect so many participants, that now we have reached the limit of 100 attendees, and some of, okay, nice. So for the TCS part, it's gonna be mainly related to the management workflow. So some linguists, if you're not interested in that part, you can leave the meeting now, and we will focus for the next part. We'll focus on the TCS permission workflow and the related. Okay, Shule, are you ready?
Yes, okay.
Okay, you can start now.
Please, I need to share my screen.
Okay, can you see my desktop and my TCS? Hello. Hi. Hi, Dongming. Can you see my desktop, my TCS?
One second. I think
Okay.
Yuzhong needs to stop sharing first. Yes. Yes, we can see the TCS platform now.
Okay. And can you see this TCS platform user guide?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, let me start. And hello everyone, and I will give a brief introduction to the TCS desktop app and to let you know how to use TCS desktop app to finish your moderation work. And the content will, okay, let's just start. The first step is we need to visit the platform. We can follow the menu for the TCS desktop top app to download and install TCS. And here we can see the download and install instructions here. And we need to follow this instruction and to finish the desktop download and installation. And the next part is about how to work on the desktop app. And we need to log into the desktop, and we need to use.
So, Shule, sorry to interrupt. But this part is for downloading the TCS
Yes.
desktop app, right?
Yes.
But one thing you might need to know is that we do not force our vendors to download this app, because downloading too much app is it's annoying for not just
But-
the vendor manager but also for the linguists. So we can skip this part. If someone wants to download this app, it is okay. We can give them the guide, but we can focus on the process, the operation process on TCS, no matter it's on the desktop app or a web page.
But Drew said that they must use the desktop app to finish moderation.
So it's required.
Drew said that they must use desktop app because I know except the Bay, other hubs must use desktop app.
Drew,
Yeah.
can you confirm that?
That's okay. We can continue with other parts, and I will double confirm about this information. Okay. And here we have some fundamental skills that will help you to work more efficient. And you can just refer to this doc and to find some operations. Okay, and if you have any problems with the TCS app download and install, you can join the log group to get support with registration issues and the platform login problems or other problems. Okay, and the next part is about how to search and follow a queue. And I will show you on my TCS desktop app. And here, this is my homepage of TCS platform. And after I log into
TCS, I will see this homepage, and I can search a queue by entering the queue title or queue ID here. Okay, for example, I will search this video subtitle proofreading queue, and I need to copy and paste my queue ID here and click search. Then I will find my queue, and by clicking the star icon, I can subscribe my queue. And after subscribing my queue, I can find it on my interests page. Here is my queue. Okay, and the next step is that we can click on the refresh icon on the cue card to refresh the number and pending time up to be moderated and to be QA, or turn on the stats auto refresh. For example, we can just click refresh icon or turn on the stats auto refresh to bring the data on this page up to date. Okay, and we can see from the cue card, there are to be moderated, to be QA, and to be evaluated. We just need to focus on to be moderated and to be QA. And here I have this process for you, and you can just read from the picture that the whole moderation process for CLL project. Here we need to focus on the whole process so that we can read from the dashboard about what's the meaning of those data indicators. For example, number of total input, number of to be moderated, and some other latency indicators and average handling time indicators. Yeah, and we need to know that we have two rounds of moderation. The first round is initial moderation, and the second round is QA moderation. Yeah, and after the first round of moderation, 10% of initial tasks will be selected for QA round. And we need to have the QA moderators to finish the QA tasks. And the initial moderation tasks and QA tasks finally will be counted into the completed tasks. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Let's start.
Sorry to interrupt, but I guess that our vendors may have some confusions. Here, we have demanded our vendors to perform two tasks. For no matter for ASR or for machine translation post-editing. The first round of editing is a must, and then it comes to a random QA. A random QA is different from what's listed here. A random QA is performed by all our vendors to guarantee guarantee the quality of your final output. And here, the 10% for QA, it's gonna be a separate step conducted by us. So, which means that we will find additional resources to perform evaluation instead of you can understand it as evaluation instead of QA. So for the evaluation, it's gonna be, we will score the quality of each video so that we can calculate the pass rate as mentioned in the contract. So if you have further questions, you can ask in the large group, and I can answer that for you.
Okay,
You
okay.
can go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. And let's move to the moderation process. Okay, before we start to moderate, we need to switch the work status to moderation task. Okay, and on the top right corner here, we need to switch our work status to moderation task. And if we need to do some other things, we need to switch our work status to other status. And we need to input some description about other status here. Okay, and so then we can record the moderator's work status and work hours, etc. Yeah, and the next step is we need to join a queue to claim tasks. Okay, for moderators, they need to click on moderate to get into the moderation page. And for QA inspectors, they need to click on QA button to get into the moderation page. And for visitors like the managers, we can click on view to view the moderation page, but no need to do any operations to this page. And with view mode, all operations will not take effect. So we suggest managers to click view button to view the moderation page. Okay, and I think we need to wait for a moment to receive the moderation task. But we can just turn to next step. And the editing process has been introduced before TCS, right? Before me. So I just jumped
Yes.
to the final step about submit task, right? And after submitting the task, we can turn to user center. For example, if moderators forgot to change their work status before moderating, they can turn to user center to check their completed tasks and working hours and apply for correcting their working hours. Okay, let me show you. We can turn to here, we can turn to user center, and this is the homepage of user center, and they can check their completed tasks from here. For example, I completed 2 tasks in total. Okay, and I can switch to working hours from on the left side and to check my work status and work hours. And but I have no working hour records here. But if moderators has their working records, they can click on the records and the time period or duration. Click on the duration and input some information here. We can see and choose the duration and input the information of request and submit this application. And then the team leader of moderator needs to approve the request, and moderators can click application records from here
Okay.
to check the
Like-
status of application. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. So, what you have just mentioned, what you just introduced is to change the status, which is covered in the which is available in the user guide. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Here
Okay. Cool.
about this part, the
Yeah.
user center. Okay.
Understand.
They can use this function to correct their working hours
Okay.
and work status. Yeah.
Okay.
And the next part is about the QA process. And just as we mentioned before, about 10% moderated tasks will be transferred to BQA. So QA moderators need to finish the QA tasks.
Shule, sorry. I think this part is gonna be a separate task done
Okay.
by different vendors or the same vendors. But right now we're not finalized on this. So in
Okay,
order
okay.
not to create confusion, I think we can skip this part.
Okay, I will skip
Mhm.
this part. And for managers, we can query the moderation result of a task by task ID from here. For example, let me switch to another page. For example, I can copy this task ID and back to the home page and search for the task. And now we can see the task here, and we can see the task has went through 2 rounds, and the result of first round is here. And we can see the moderator's name here and the average handling time and the moderation result here. Okay, and it's the status of this task. This is about the task search, and we can turn to the Q search. From the Q card, turn to Q search to search for multiple tasks. Okay, for example, we can select the filter condition from here and click filter to query the corresponding tasks and view the moderation results here. Okay, this is about the moderation results query, and the final step is how to view the data indicators in dashboard. We can turn to the dashboard page while clicking the dashboard on Q card. For example, we can just click on the dashboard, and then the page will turn to dashboard. And here we can take an overview of some key indicators about this moderation queue, about the number of total inputs, the number of completed tasks, and average handling time and average latency, etc. And we can turn to moderation board to view the personnel productivity. Yeah, for example, this is the first moderator, and this is the number of his completed tasks and his average handling time and average latency time. etc. Okay, and this is ranking overview about the productivity of moderators. And this is moderation results distribution. I think we won't, there's no need for us to focus on this part because the result of each task is different. Okay, and we need to focus on the Q stats, especially the latency and yeah, and the number of total input and the number of completed tasks. We need to focus on those key indicators. Okay, I think that's all about the TCS operations. Hi, Dongming.
Yes. Thank you, Shilei, for the introduction. There are, could you answer one question, like for the CLA project, and which modules will not be involved for the vendors? Like which part they don't need to pay attention to just to clarify it again. Oh, for the QA process, they don't need to pay attention to, right?
To pay attention to, and the accuracy and number of errors. Yeah.
Okay.
They just need to pay attention to the previous 5 indicators.
Okay.
Yeah, and no need to pay attention to moderation results distribution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So I see question. Thank you, Shilei. I see question ask where can we see the duration total length of the videos that linguists edited? Could you share the aggregated total? Share the page of the aggregated total number. Oh, this is the page.
Yeah, this is the aggregated page.
Aggregated, but it doesn't have the total length or the total word count.
This is, I think this is the total. We can select a duration and.
So for example, I've edited 5 videos. What's the total length of the 5 videos? Where does it display?
Okay, let me check. About the whole moderation queue, right?
Yes, or single person.
Okay, about the whole moderation queue, we can check from here. Yeah, this is total because we can just select a time duration, right? And to see the total number.
Yeah, which number is the total video length?
Video length.
Yes.
I didn't find it.
Okay.
The video length. Yeah.
So here's my so no worries. I will check internally like where the two vendors. I will check internally where we display the total length and the total word count. So for your reference, but just FYI, all vendors can export an Excel sheet containing the video length of each video and the word count of each video, so that by selecting a person, so you can do the calculation in a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet can be exported daily or per 7 day, or you can export all the history data. So which means there is a way to we can, by using Excel spreadsheet, you can always calculate the total length, the total word count, but to make it to make it better, I will check if we're planning to add those two data on the dashboard for your easy reference. Okay, the next question is where we can check number of words completed by one person. Okay, I guess I've answered this question as well. So if we do not support showing the data on the dashboard, we can give you the access to download Excel spreadsheet so that you can do the calculation based on one person or based on based on a person or a group. Okay. Shule, thank you, Shule. Thank you, Shule, for the
Thank you.
introduction.
Thank you.
Okay, for I would like to share our QR code again. We have created a lot group. We have created a lot group for vendor managers. I know like some of you are facing registration issues either on Hodor or TCS. So in order that we can aggregate all the issues that you're facing right now, we have invited our internal colleagues working on the TCS platform as well as the Hodor platform to look into your specific issues and help you to get the access. You can scan this QR code with LARC to join the LARC group to get instant support on registration. And but note that this group is for managers only, so that we're not overwhelmed by by messages. Okay. Yu Zhang, you can please continue to show this QR code. The meantime, do you have any questions? We can start the QA session. Any questions? No? Okay, is there an option to upload the transcription to respective videos after making references? And if you're from this Hi, Jesse. There isn't an option to download or upload the transcriptions to this platform. So everything will need to be conducted to on this platform. How will we be communicate the queue information? Hi, Isabel. So for the queue information, you know, it happens after we have all registered on Hodor and we have all your information available and registered your organization on TCS, and after that we will set up the queues. But bear in mind that there are altogether right now there are 21 queues, and for ASR there are 6 queues, and for MTP each language there will be 5 queues, and we will let you know your queue information. Another question: any way to control volume during hill climbing? During the hill climbing, please. Okay, for to control the volumes, I recommend you to monitor the here is how you calculate it. So for example, if you can handle like 30% of the total volume, which is around 210,000 words a day, and we've calculated the daily output of linguists by 5,000 or 6,000, which means you are supposed to invite 42 from 35 to 42 linguists to the queue. And these people, or during the hill climb, they just need to do a portion, to perform a portion on the perform a certain percentage of the tasks. For example, if they can, if their daily output is 5,000 words, then 40% is around 2,000 words. 2,000 words. So they just need to work on 2,000 words, and that's equivalent to 40%. And to monitor that, managers need to monitor the overall output of the queue. So once it reaches the bar, you need to talk to the linguist to stop the moderation for the day. Yes, that's correct. If the individual linguist can see the video length and word count they did. Okay, then, if there's no additional questions, we will stop now. But once again, vendors, managers, please join this alert group so that we can keep a timely communication on the pending issues you're facing right now. So I know that some of you are, most of you are facing some hold or TCS registration issues. So the issues. So even if you cannot start the trial process tomorrow, it is okay. We have a total of 5 days to complete the trial. So let's try to get all the registration ready by today, hopefully. And if not, we can still continue tomorrow. But after tomorrow, we hope everything can be in place and we can invite your linguist to do
あ、すみ
the
ません。ありがとうございます。大丈夫です。どうぞ。
Okay, for someone, if you do not, you can find this this large QR code in the user guide that I shared with you. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.